Hi.
Welcome to Lore Together. I'm Sapphy.
I'm Mystic.
And we're here because we're going to go through and deep dive through video game lore, stories, backgrounds, worlds, because that's what we do together. We lore together.
We nerd out together.
So, if you wanna hear more about us, you can catch us on Twitter at Lore Together. You can also email us at loretogether@gmail.com. And if you want to support the production and research of this show, go to patreon.com/loretogether, and you'll also be able to get a lot of awesome goodies that we want to gift to you, our lovely listeners.
So thank you for listening, and let's begin.
We're starting this podcast because you desperately wanted to describe to me your pseudo-namesake, Myst. And I know absolutely nothing about it, despite the fact you've told me about it. I've even seen some of it when we went to the Art of Video Games years ago when it was at the Smithsonian.
Yeah. I mean, you see, I have a bunch of Myst stuff. You've seen, like, action figures and
yes,
my 25th anniversary collection, which you're just like, okay.
You've even called one of our mutual acquaintances Atreyu? Atreus. Atreyu is somebody else.
Atreyu is Neverending Story, isn't it?
Oh, okay. If that becomes a video game, then we'll do that at a future episode.
It may have been in the 80s or something. I don't know.
That might be worth it. We might do that. But Atreus, but you can see now, this is my confusion, and I'm sure there's a bunch of Myst fans on the other side now screaming, going, how does she not know? And the truth is, it's
well, that's a good thing. Like, how do you not have a grasp of this? And that is a brilliant segue into this.
Take it.
So Myst originally comes up. The first one is designed by a company called Cyan by two brothers in Spokane.
Okay.
So that's out in Washington.
Yes, Spokane, Washington. Yeah.
First one came out for Mac in 1983 by.
Why am I not surprised somebody out in the middle of the Pacific Northwest was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a game, but it's going to only be for Mac in the was it the 90s?
93.
Yeah,
that is not just that.
That is so hipster before hipster was a thing. I'm already frustrated, and maybe this is why I don't know about it. I'm just.
But
feel me here, guys.
So you're younger than me, but even back then in school, like on the Mac, you probably heard of this thing called HyperCard, which was a way of doing presentations and all this other stuff. That's what Myst was done in.
I absolutely have I think I missed this HyperCard train.
Okay.
I think I did grow up using those iBooks with the big colors and the weird those ugly looking things. We all thought they were so great looking, and then we got older and realized that silver was the way that most computers
well, that's high school that was high school for me. So
that was grammar school for me. Was the iBook, the colors.
So this is before your time.
We have like a 3.5 year difference in our age, in case anybody's wondering what's going on.
This is like the Apple II all-in-one like floppy drive, not even CDs yet.
Oh, those were even earlier. That was what I played Oregon Trail on. I think.
That age.
Okay.
1994 came out for Windows. I didn't have it yet. I didn't get it until probably 95.
Okay, so you were a late adopter to the Myst fandom,
right?
Essentially.
But even back then, it was insanely popular. Like Myst was almost not ubiquitous, but it was in the cultural zeitgeist.
I will say, I knew of the first time I think I heard of the game was actually probably around '98, and I had just moved from Chicago to a suburb of Chicago, and I always fell in the nerd outcast tribe, and one of my tribe, essentially in the 6th grade, all of us on the struggle bus there, she was talking about Myst, and she tried to explain it to me, and it was one of those, it just went over my head. He's like, you're on an island and you're figuring stuff out and there's puzzles, and I'm like, nope.
Hopefully we'll do better here.
Nope. But it was 6th grade, okay? Give the woman a break. I'm sure she's having a lovely time, probably just as much as fans are now.
So you remember the comic strip? It's probably still around. I haven't read it in years. Called Foxtrot. It's like a family with a nerdy little brother and like a jockey older brother.
Oh, I love those. I
didn't,
and for no good reason either. I love those.
Right, but like Myst crept its way into that because of the nerdy brother. And there's this comic I remember. I can't find it. There's this comic I remember where the mother's whole thing that day, she's like frustrated and angry and stuff, and her calm time, her me time is her sitting down, and you see like an automatopoeia come out of the computer she's sitting down at, and it's like the iconic sounds from this one puzzle in Myst.
Oh my god! so that creator liked that game,
yeah,
and so that kind of introduced. That's when people actually still read the paper too. Like,
right.
I'm wondering if there's people even like 10 years younger than us being like, who read the paper? You don't understand. The Sunday comics were one of the exciting things as a child when we still read our news on dead trees. We don't do that anymore because that's wasteful. But
well, it's still on dead trees.
And
Plastic is dead trees.
And Webtoon is an app. Well, those are processed dead trees, right? Yeah. So that's a different story. Anyway, yes, I can see how that entered the zeitgeist at a time before, web comics were a thing.
But like, not even just like, so speaking of web comics and stuff and like animation stuff.
Yeah.
Like, famously, in the background, so remember that Simpsons Halloween episode where Homer's like 3D?
Oh, yeah, I tried to forget that, I think.
I thought that was a good one.
I don't
I thought it was really clever at the time.
I don't know, there's part of me that just likes the one where they try to eat the kids in the school. That's my favorite.
I mean, I'm not going to argue which one the favorite is, but
yeah.
So in the background, as he's walking around this 3D world, is like this library building from Myst.
Oh, so there's these undercover nerds in pop culture trying to sneak it into the zeitgeist. But I still have no idea what it is, despite the fact I've watched and read all these things you've mentioned.
Yeah, but like...
What is wrong with me?
Two things I want to bring that how popular this is. You can actually track the popularity of Myst on the Macintosh with the buying of CD-ROM drives.
There is a positive correlation?
Yes.
Okay.
So... Myst, it is non-fair to say, Myst was so popular that it helped people adopt the CD-ROM format.
Oh, so people didn't know they wanted something outside of the floppy disk drive, which for those of you, again, who might be too young, it's the save button. So people didn't realize they wanted a file thing other than the save button. If you're not sure, ask your mom or dad or your older sibling what the save button is, but that's how we used to have to save files. But then CD-ROMs came out, and that was the next way we were doing information. So when you essentially are giving credit to the fact that Myst, being a game on a CD-ROM, is part of the reason why people started switching to that format.
Yeah, Myst is kind of like the one for Mac. Mostly, there's one on PC. I think it's Seventh Guest, but Myst is also part of it.
Mac stuff is weird. I was a Mac person for a while, so that's why I get to talk so much crap right now. But like weirdo stuff. So I don't know.
Myst was the most popular PC game
of
all time until 2001, when one of your favorite game series supplanted it finally, and that was The Sims. So from 1994 to 2001,
I'm playing Myst Killer. Oh my god, no!
From 94 until 2001, Myst was the best-selling PC game.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm. It's been surpassed since then.
That's what people thought video games were back then.
No, that's the thing. So people didn't think that's what video games were. That was like groundbreaking, because video games were like this stupid little kids thing, and here was this adult story that you could play and use your brain meats to play.
Yeah, using brain meats. Yeah.
So Myst was huge, and I'm going to read a quote here to explain how huge this is. This is from Jim Hill, who is a reporter and self-proclaimed theme park historian.
Okay.
So, quote.
Oh, I love theme park history.
Yeah, this is all tying to Disney World, by the way.
I heard trepidations. I'm going to let you read it, but I'm just going to say when you reference Disney World, trepidations. I'm just going to put that out there.
So, Disney World has this one little island called Discovery Island that they've never done anything with. It's just kind of sitting there. It's about 11 acres. And at one point in the 90s, after Myst had, was coming out and had come out and everything, and it was popular, Disney decided that they wanted to build a Myst Island.
It's a trap! Don't do it, Myst! No!
But here's what it would have been. According to Jim Hill, it goes, Myst Island would have attempted to duplicate the look and feel of the award-winning computer games.
Yeah.
Only a limited number of guests would have been allowed out onto the fog-shrouded island each day. They were
going to shroud it in frogs. It's just, it's going to be, it's one of the plagues from the Bible. They're going to do that. No, I meant fog.
It's you get dropped off by boat early in the morning and then picked up in the late afternoon.
Okay.
Your mission was to explore the ruins scattered around this 11-acre island and try to figure out what happened to the island's previous occupants. It was a day-long adventure that would have been unlike anything in any Disney theme park had at that time.
That would have been, you know how we do those trap...
It's a trap room.
It's a trap room. They would have had trap rooms before. Disney would have commodified trap rooms before they were a thing. Oh my god.
Here's the best thing. Like, there was no linear storyline to it. So, guests could only discover the various puzzles scattered around the island by exploring in all these little nooks and crannies and, like, going through the island itself, like, with a fine-tooth comb.
It is the English muffin of puzzle quests, okay?
And so, like, depending on which path you took and what artifacts you found, and as well as the order you found them in, you had a different outcome on the island.
This sounds so cool!
So, theoretically, no two guests could ever have the same experience as they wandered over this island.
That's so cool.
And, like, it's kind of funny. So, the Myst fans, like, a lot of them love these novels.
Yeah.
The novels were published by Disney's Hyperion label to keep the people who designed Myst, like, kind of happy and placated so they would help work on this whole thing.
Oh no! Oh, I already feel like I know where this shoe's about to drop, though.
Well, the whole thing eventually did fail.
Yeah, Disney. We don't like to talk about the things that Disney
it failed
and drops
because it's this 11-acre island in the middle of a lake.
Yeah.
Like, to do this construction, you would have to ferry, like, heavy construction equipment out to this island.
We didn't have 3D printers yet, guys. This is not feasible.
So it's like this completely logistical nightmare.
Yeah, of course.
And the tech just wasn't quite there yet, even for the Disney Imagineers. So, eventually
what year was this again?
I don't remember the year. This was before 97, I believe.
So this is before they went to Disney Quest.
Yes.
Which, P.S., Michael Eisenberg took some really good ideas and then totally pooped all over them. So I'm going to blame this
Disney
one on
Quest
him.
was great. We had one in Chicago.
Oh, and then they took it away. I'm so mad still that they took Disney Quest away. And now it feels like they took it away twice because this sounds like something they could have done at Disney Quest, to be perfectly honest. So for those of you who don't know what Disney Quest is, sidetrack. Disney Quest was this virtual reality and technological, more focused kind of theme park that Disney had originally hoped to put in multiple cities. Yeah. So that way you could be like a staycation kind of thing for local. I think
even the one down in Disney World is gone now.
It is gone now. Because, so here's the problem. Lame. What happened was it didn't make enough money. That's really what happened to it. And on top of that, the thing was, since it's supposed to be a technological advance, because they had like virtual reality rides, you could make your own roller coaster ride, and it was all based on the tech with some other extra cool fun stuff. If they were smart, instead of doing some of the things they did at Disney Quest, where it was supposed to be like this virtual arcade, they could have updated some of their stuff so that it would have been a Myst adventure. And there would have been nerds like us lining up to have a 2-hour Myst problems and, and alternate endings and everything.
The
like,
plans
that would have been great.
The plans they had, it was a day-long adventure. Early in the morning you're dropped off, you're picked up late in the afternoon. This was a thing for whales. This was a thing for, like, those big spenders to do. Like, very limited thing. So
you'd probably be paying close to about $200 to $500 a person.
Yeah.
To have a whole day experience, which probably would have included, souvenirs and food and This sounds like such a great idea, and now I want to win.
Oh, there's still people who want it.
Yeah, I want to win the lottery and sponsor this somehow, some way. You don't even need to do it on an island.
But, so that's how popular Myst was.
I missed it. I missed this but The Sims came and I suddenly got that. Well, that's just...
As we get into, what Myst is.
Yeah.
It's very interesting in that, so in Myst, as a game series, through the series, you get some inkling as to who this player character is. The player character is known as the Stranger.
Stranger?
There's nothing else ever ascribed to them.
Is he an existentialist?
No, there's nothing.
Okay, not everybody's an Albert Camus fan like me. Okay, I just had to put that out
there. Nothing about the player character is ever defined. For all but 2 games of the series, you play as this character.
The Stranger.
Who is nameless, faceless, genderless.
Just some random...
Yeah. The only thing that is concrete is that they are an adult.
Okay.
They are intelligent enough to solve the puzzles canonically.
Okay.
And they are from the early 1800s in New Mexico, which at the time was part of the Spanish colonies. So that is the only thing.
I want to say aliens, but that's just me, because that when you say New Mexico and you say
right, it wasn't New Mexico then. Well, it was, but
No, I understand. History's complicated. Why wouldn't it be an indigenous person?
It could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could have been an indigenous.
It could have been an indigenous person that is just the area that they're in.
Okay. So they happen to be from that specific area.
Yeah.
Then. Okay.
That is the only thing that is concretely known. There is a guess that they might be male based off of one line, but it is purely conjecture. It is not concrete.
Okay. What's that one line?
It's way late. It's like the very last game in the series.
Okay. So in the very last game of the series, they wanted to insinuate that there might be a penis involved.
Well,
that's an interesting time to do that.
At that point,
or I should say, not even that. We don't know.
So the reason is, at that point, the character you're playing as is not the stranger. It is a actual character in the mythos, and a character refers to you as my friend.
Yeah.
Like, nice to see you again, my friend. But that character is extremely aged, has poor eyesight, and it's not said whether that friend is the stranger or if they actually, like, if he just calls everybody my friend.
So it's a theory right now.
Yeah, there's no basis for it at all, other than the fact that he calls the stranger and this other person friend.
So it sounds like that the whole purpose of this character is a self-insert.
Yes.
That the whole point is that you can become so enveloped into the story, there's nothing to block you from experiencing it.
So they're walking around, the New Mexico area.
And
they find this book.
So why is it when you say walking around, for some reason I imagined him as like a South Park cutout? But like early season walking before they actually had CGI helping that stuff.
The game itself literally opens up with the book on the ground in the middle of darkness. So I'm assuming night.
Yes, which
and you find this book, you open this book, and looking at this book, it's this big book. It's, the size of like a phone, like an old big phone book.
Now this is when I referenced that because you're such a super fan, you backed that Kickstarter and you got a replica of that book?
It's about that size.
That's bigger than most encyclopedias were.
Yeah.
Which again, if you're too young to remember what encyclopedias, it's what Wikipedia was hoping to be and never really truly became. But you'd have volumes like 26 books wide, but they were really thick. And a Myst book is even thicker than that. Myst is probably as thick as the first 3 books of the Harry Potter series with, an extra 3 inches of height on it, if that's the size book, if we want to talk about it like that.
But it's really big. Mm-hmm. Your character, the stranger, opens the book, and there is an image of the ocean.
Which, if we don't know, this person might not have ever seen the ocean before at this point.
Plausible? No idea.
Okay.
But the image starts moving.
Okay.
On the page.
Okay.
And for one reason or other, they touch the image. Probably like, what is this?
Yeah.
And touching it,
figure out what it was.
They fade through the book.
Supernatural BS right there. Well, I shouldn't say BS in the sense of it's dumb, but more like supernatural.
Myst is
Wooj mojo stuff.
Myst is like supernatural, steampunk, little bit of mage punk.
Okay.
All kind of jammed together.
Okay, I can accept this.
But this act of touching a book and going through the book into the world within it is called linking.
Linking.
Yeah, you link to an age, which a book describes an age.
But an age where?
Yes.
Damn it, that doesn't help me.
In the whole, it's kind of really crunchy lore at this point, and it's kind of big stuff.
I like crunchy. It's a really good texture. I like panko crusted chicken.
So we'll go through a few things here.
Okay.
In the lore, everything is an age. The Earth is in an age.
Okay.
But it is still a thing. It is still like within a book somewhere.
Okay.
There are other books that will link to other ages.
Is this like a multi-universe idea?
Yes, it is.
But it's and so the multi-universe premise is contained in this idea of like a library.
Yes, it is a quantum multiverse type thing.
Okay.
So these books, I heard it described best actually yesterday because I was asking about this on the Cyan official Discord, like, what is the best way to describe this? So we have, in gaming, a thing called procedurally generated worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You've seen that No Man's Sky, Minecraft, basically anything that is like, everything is random.
Yeah.
There is a thing you can do where you have what is called a seed.
Okay.
And a seed it's still random, but it follows the same math all the time.
It's on an algorithm, essentially.
Yes. So, you walk 2 miles and you'll get to a village in Minecraft, but you may have to walk 2.3 miles to get there.
Okay, so the idea is there's a range of when you need to hit something, so as long as it's within that range.
Yeah, it's kind of like, this is the math for how this basically works.
Okay.
But outside of that basic math, things are still random.
Okay.
That is what a book is in Myst. It is basically a seed value for the thing. It is the most descriptive text ever that as you write it, when you link, it takes you to that permutation of that world. If you change anything in that book, you go to a different place.
Okay.
Yeah, and everything about that book, from the paper to the ink to all of that, has to be the same, or else the world is different.
Oh, right. So it's so it sounds like Myst is a series that deals a lot with, a lot of times with time travel, it's about trying to change things so that they're better and they end up being worse, like butterfly effect kind of things. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that Myst deals with a lot of that in the same turn, but instead of it being about time travel, it's about
quantum travel.
It's multi-universe travel, which has to be quantum travel. So this is some highfalutin stuff we're getting into.
And as a writer, you can see why this is kind of cool.
Okay, backtrack a bit. Personal preference here. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Multi-universe premises don't excite me for whatever reason. I like multi-universe theory. I think it's a good thing, but there's something about it where, as a story, typically it doesn't excite me that much. Though I will say, I wouldn't mind reading a story where it turns out at the end that this was the multi-universe premise of where they ended up being in. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mind it if that was I think my thing is that there's too many times where I've seen people do lazy multi-dimensional or multi-universe writing tropes, and so it makes me wary because I've seen it done poorly. Mm-hmm. And I know that I'm really picky about my stories. So that's where I'm at. But I'm listening. I'm here with an open mind and an open heart.
That's like I said, that's the crunchy lore.
That's
not the
lore.
Fun lore.
Right.
So,
well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Then this is probably why it's still fun rather than it's resting heavily on the quantum lore.
That's kind of like the fan explanation for what the writing does. It's not like the fun part of the lore, like who characters are and stuff. It's just like, oh, here's what this actually would be in real life.
It's the backbone that supports all the more relatable stuff to the story. Okay. I can deal with
because that. Because writing a book like this
universe book essentially
it is so much an art that they actually call it literally the art. And I'm not gonna, for any Myst fans who are listening, I'm not going to do Dunny pronunciations because pronunciations of Dunny is kind of contentious.
Okay, so Dunny, explain this quickly to me so we can move on. What is Dunny?
Dunny is a language that was the language of the Dunny. The Dunny were a race of humanoids. Okay. They come from a totally separate planet. It's a totally separate age. They came to Earth.
They're not even from Myst.
They're not from Myst. Myst is a single age.
Okay. So they're not from the Myst age.
Right.
They're not from the Earth age, but they came to the Earth age.
They came to the Earth age.
Okay.
We'll get into all of the minutia of the Dunny on Earth as we go through the series. Okay. But the Dunny are this race of humanoids who are gifted in the art of writing and the art of crafting these books.
So they essentially, it's the equivalent of almost like the Q in Star Trek in the sense of that the power that they innately already have is super huge. Like game-breakingly huge in a certain sense.
They are also very long-lived, roughly 300 years. Okay. And, they know how to write these books. And there's 3 different types of books. There's descriptive books, which we've already talked about. Okay. There is linking books, which are different and yet the same. A linking book works in a single age. Okay. to where it was written, wherever that is. In another age, in the same age, doesn't matter.
So it's a one-way ticket to a different age.
It is a one-way ticket to a different age, yes. You take a descriptive book to that age. It only goes to that age. It never goes anywhere else.
Okay.
Your linking book will take you from anywhere back to where it was written.
So wherever whatever age that linking book was written, that's your one-way ticket to there. Yeah. So it sounds like there's the descriptive book, which is the actual age itself. Everything that makes that age what it is.
One descriptive book.
But you could have multiple linking books that don't change the age. They just take you to the age.
Right.
Which is essentially, it is like, it's like the spark notes for an age.
Yes.
Because, so like if the Myst book is the age book, everything in that world is there, and that's why you're able to go there. But essentially, you can do the linking page, which is like the spark notes, and you open it up, and you're like, I didn't know about these details, and that takes you to the descriptive book, essentially to that age, right? Because this is sounding really complicated. I want to make sure everybody else is like here with me in my understanding, because this is a lot.
We can okay.
No. I'm not. No, it's not a critique. I'm just saying it's a lot, and it's obvious that people put a lot of thought into this. Yeah. And my brain meets right now might not be getting all of it.
There's a lot of thought.
Yeah.
B, there's also a lot of retconning in the Myst series.
Come on. Now I'm just mad.
Well, it's not so much a retcon. There is one big retcon that the fans still argue over. In fact, I probably caused an argument the other day.
Oh, no.
But, and we'll get to that, because the first game is the one, as with every first everything, including this first episode, is the roughest.
Okay.
So it's the roughest, and as they go, they refined it, and some things in the first game kind of changed, but they can't change the game.
Okay.
And we'll get to a different reason why later.
Okay.
But we can explain how linking books work by actually exploring Myst itself first. Mm-hmm. So Myst kind of starts very classically. Most people have probably seen this image somewhere and don't maybe not even know what it is.
Okay.
So Myst starts, you're standing on a dock.
Mm-hmm.
There's an ocean breeze ruffling around, and you have this cool mist blowing in off this endless ocean.
Well, okay.
Next to you, there's this ship. It is sunken in very shallow water, but it's still, only the mast is sticking up.
Okay.
Ahead of you, there's some stairs that kind of curve up a hill. Mm. At the very top of the hill, there is 2 giant gears in the ground.
Okay.
And then next to you is a door in the wall of the dock.
In the wall of the... So it's...
And you touch the door and it opens, and, there's a staircase going down. And that's kind of the first scene of Myst.
That sounds kind of like a surrealist painting, almost.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
But,
I'm here on this ride with you, I guess. Or this island with the weird staircase and the gears, which I have to say, just, as somebody who's played video games now for decades, that doesn't sound like the most exciting way to start a game. Like, if they had first started this game now, I would say, don't start it like that. That's not kind of an interesting start. But back in 93, 94, when this was first coming out, this is very different than ho ho warrior, you must have this sword, and you are going to start on this adventure to avenge your lands.
So that classic Elder Scrolls or Fallout thing. You finish the tutorial and you finally walk out into the world, and you just have no explanation for anything, and it's just wide open, and it's like I can explore this.
Yes.
It's kind of that feeling in the 90s.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense.
So, because at the time, this was one of the most realistic games. Everything was pre-rendered. It was, it took...
So it was beautiful by the standards over them. Okay.
So, and as you can walk around this island, and it's empty. Mm-hmm. There's nobody around. Okay. Absolutely nobody.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of buildings and point of interest.
How are you the stranger if nobody is there to not know you? I just wanted to throw that out there. That just seems silly, but okay.
Honestly, I don't know where the stranger actually comes from. I think it's from a later game. In a journal, somebody refers to you as a stranger came.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think it's a name. It's just it's like a fan name.
The fans call it the stranger.
Yeah, it's like there's no name to ascribe to them because they are an unknown.
Because every time you say the stranger, I keep on thinking about I'm not just the adult term of the stranger, But also, the beginning of The Stranger by Albert Camus was like, mother died today, or was it yesterday?
Oh, jeez.
And yeah, it's one of those stories. So immediately I just think of somebody who's about to shoot somebody and get sentenced to death without any care, even though he takes responsibility for his actions that mean nothing. Sorry, guys, that's just where my brain's going. I'm going to keep referencing it. I'm sorry. Myth of Sisyphus is a great essay, by the way. Moving on.
So there's a bunch of buildings and point of interest on the island, and I'm going to go through them really quickly here, just so you kind of get an idea for what's there.
Yeah.
You may not know. So there's the dock that you're on. There's the little room next to the dock.
Yeah.
There's the sunken ship, the giant gears, these things we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Further in the island, you follow this path, there is a planetarium.
Right. Ooh.
It's just like a seat in a room, and there's like a starscape above it, like an artificial starscape.
So it's the light show that we usually like at the Adler Planetarium.
There's a library.
Okay.
With a tower attached to it in the back.
Okay. A book tower? That's ominous.
Just a tower.
All right. Or book. I was going to say book depository.
It's not a book depository.
Ominous.
There's a little fountain with a bunch of plaques on stands. It's part of a puzzle. I don't want to get into solving the puzzles and stuff.
That's not lore.
I'm not doing a walkthrough.
Right, exactly.
So,
P.S. If you thought this was a walkthrough, please just Google IGN and move on. Thank you.
IGN, jeez, don't give them hits.
Okay, scratch that. Edit it.
Game FAQs, the old one.
Oh.
They still exist.
Just look for it on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's probably plenty of Let's Plays.
There's like this power building. Like it has that like cinder block look, and you walk down the stairs and there's like these banks of generators down there.
Ooh.
There's a little tiny forest on the island, like half the island is kind of forested. There's a cabin there.
And if I remember correctly, it's interesting that you mentioned Spokane, Washington earlier, because this looks like the kind of like the redwood forest.
It is a redwood forest, actually. And
so,
there is one particular giant tree that's kind of secluded and like has its own little like patio or porch or whatever built around it.
Okay.
Like, there is a clock tower that is offshore.
Just hanging out.
It's hanging out, and there's
being its clock tower self.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of gears in front of it that you can turn, and it like changes the clock face and stuff. But like, it's part of a puzzle. Again, I don't.
Is it on its own separate island, or is it just standing out from the water?
It is on its own like artificial island, like 50 feet out.
Okay, so somebody built this.
Yes.
So there's all this stuff that people have built, and there's nobody.
Yes.
Creepy.
And the last point of interest is like this 50s looking spaceship, like not even 50s, like late 40s, early 50s spaceship.
Now, 40s spaceship.
So we're talking like the dart with the fins.
The dart with the fins and the bubble dome top. Right?
No bubble dome. It's just like the cylinder and fins.
Okay. So it's what people thought we would fly to space before we flew to space.
Yeah, think Jules Verne's. Again, steampunk.
Okay.
A little note here for the crunchy lore people that may not know this. There were living quarters on the island, but according to a Cyan developer, Richard A. Watson, they were not included in the game or the story because they just felt it wasn't necessary for the game or the story. Which I'm like, why? That'd be more world building. More world building is better.
I mean, if anything, now you're trying to get me to... Because knowing the kind of player this sounds like it's trying to describe, essentially, you've got something that's a little bit more than a blank canvas, right? It's not a completely blank canvas, but somebody's painted a background for you.
I always wondered where they lived, where the people on this island lived.
Yeah, because now that you don't know where they live, and you've seen all these man-made structures, you're like, who built this stuff? Right. Where do they live? Did they commute here? Where did they commute here from? Did they take a spaceship here? Now I'm really confused.
Yeah, but apparently they lived under the library. Like, there were, like, in the tower that's attached to the library, there's an elevator that goes up. Apparently it also goes down, but they didn't put it in the game. Like, down is where the living quarters are. Okay,
so the quote-unquote canon as explained by exterior sources.
Yeah, it's not in the game. We'll get to the discrepancies between the canon and the games at some point in the future.
Okay.
Because there is an explanation for why the canon isn't always reflected in the games.
Okay. Well, I imagine some of it is also development time and all that stuff.
A lot of it is also realities of the day. There's a lot of stuff in Myst already. Rendering more images would be just a problem.
Right. And it sounds like you were saying they were using something that's essentially a PowerPoint presentation model.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't sound like it can carry that much power per...
Yeah. Everything is a still image.
Yeah.
If you interact with something, that small part of the image has an animation that's overlaid on top of it, and then it goes back to the still image. Like, that's the technology we're dealing with here. It's like pre-Flash. In the first ones, they have since remade it. There was Myst Masterpiece Edition, which was larger resolution, more animations, a little bit better color depth, because the original was, I think, 16-bit color. Ooh. Which, doesn't look great.
Yeah.
Then
beautiful for the time it was made, though,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Then they did Real Myst, which was full 3D, and you could walk around and all that. And then just, I think it was last year or the year before, they did Real Myst Masterpiece Edition, which is fully updated again with modern technology and can run at different resolutions and all that stuff. Okay. So the stranger, as they're walking around, finds 3 items of interest. Mm-hmm. One is a letter just on the ground outside the planetarium.
Because that's how you deliver letters. You just leave them on the ground, and you hope whoever's going to pass them by is the person who needs to read it. That's how we all deliver letters, right, guys?
It is a letter to Catherine from someone named Atris.
Okay. So, to Catherine from Atris. So, we already know of 2 people who at least are somewhat associated with this island.
Yes.
And we see all this evidence that people should be here.
And there's none.
And there's nobody here. Yeah. And it sounds like the way you're presenting it, it's not like it's set in a way where it looks like people have left, or it looks like people have...
Well, I have left out one detail, actually, and we'll get to that in... Well, actually, I'll do that right now. In the library, there's a library. There's shelving of books. Yeah. All but 4 of them are completely burnt. They're all destroyed.
Whoa, okay. So, now immediately, my if I was playing this, my brain would go to plague. Because the only other thing I could think of is that it's kind of evoking, and especially for those of you who know American history, is the colony of Roanoke, right? Yeah. Where
it has that feel, yeah.
It looks like everybody just left, and they had a reference to some area nearby, and the quote unquote mystery, though it's not really a mystery if you follow the genetic trail later on, but the mystery is like, why did all these European colonists suddenly disappear? Because somebody went to get supplies, they came back, and they were all gone.
It has that feel.
Yeah. Which later on, maybe I'll tweet out what the answer to that is. Anybody who wants to know what the actual answer to the mystery of Roanoke. But if you want to keep that mystery and think that it's actual mystery, you go on with your mystery-loving self, I guess.
It's still a cool mystery, even if it's already solved. Like, the idea of it is a kind of a cool story.
Yeah, and this is sounding a lot like that. That everybody's left in a hurry. And burnt the books really makes me wonder.
Well, okay, so...
Wait, and especially now that we know the books are universes, which, of course, you as a stranger first playing, you don't know.
You don't.
That's really scary.
So there's 4 books that aren't burned. We'll get to those later. There's 2 other books. Let me describe the library actually first. You walk in. Mm-hmm. Across from you is these burned books with only 4 books left.
With my weeping heart, because how dare you burn a book unless it's trash, and literal trash. Like, I wouldn't even burn 50 Shades of Grey because that's just mean.
There's 2 paintings.
There's 2 paintings.
Which are just basically you touch them and they unlock the hallway that goes to the tower.
I was hoping you were saying there were portraits of Atris and Catherine, so we suddenly knew who the hell we were talking about.
There's no pictures yet. Actually, there's no pictures of people in this yet. The paintings, the hallway, the tower, those are all kind of ways to unlock the puzzles. Okay. So I'm not going to really go into them a lot. Okay. There's another painting of the island that's also part of a puzzle. Okay. And then there's a fireplace.
But the books aren't in the fireplace.
The books aren't in the fireplace. The books are just burned and shelved back on the shelf. So you open the book, it's burned. You pick up another, it's burned. You put it back. So
why would you? Okay, now I'm just confused of the OCD tendencies of whoever. Probably because I was thinking maybe flamethrower or something, but instead it sounds like somebody got a hot poker, took a book, fried it like a hot dog, and then placed it back on the shelf.
Could be. There's also on opposing sides. There is, I don't remember which side is which, but there is a red book and a blue book just sitting there, each with a corresponding color page next to the book. Okay. So you open up one of these books. Let's say you open up the red book first. Mm-hmm. You take this page, you put it in the red book, and it starts getting all staticky, and you see a person.
Oh.
and he's kind of looking at you. He identifies himself as Cirrus, but you can't really understand a lot.
Okay.
Actually, no, he doesn't identify himself as Cirrus. He asks who you are, and then just says, bring me the red pages, blah, blah, blah. It's this weird puzzle aspect to it all. Rather than go through what they say each time, we'll go to the other book, and I'll explain who these two people are.
Okay.
So the red book is a person, it has a person named Cirrus in it.
Okay.
The blue book has a person named Achenar in it.
Achenar. Now, Cirrus, I know, is a reference to the dog star, almost, is it?
I don't know if it's spelled the same. Sirrus?
They put an extra R there, I think. Yeah.
I don't know if the references are on this one. Surprisingly, they were both played. So the Myst series is designed by Rand and Robin Miller.
Okay.
Achenar is played by Rand Miller. Cirrus is played by Robin Miller. Atris is played by Rand Miller.
Oh!
He does a different inflection and a different kind of weird thing when he's playing Achenar.
Okay.
So, at first, when I was playing it, I was a kid, I couldn't tell. Long and short, we'll go through who these are. These are the sons of Atris and Catherine.
Okay. Atris. Okay. I think I've heard a little bit of this before, but I'm going to let you explain it out.
So you have Cirrus, you have Achenar.
Yeah.
Their father is the one who wrote the letter to Catherine.
Yes.
There is no sign of Catherine at all on this island, but this letter to Catherine tells her to enter a code, like the simple code, in a mechanism in the chamber by the dock.
Okay.
So you solve what this code is. It's a little tiny. It's a simple puzzle.
Yeah.
You solve this code. You go down there. You enter this thing, and basically he tells you it's this message to Catherine where Atris is projected in this hollow projector pool of water thing.
Okay, hence the mage punk. Okay,
yeah.
I get that.
And well, it's a little bit steampunk too, because there's a clear mechanism for it. It's not magic.
Okay, all right.
But basically, his thing is someone has destroyed most of the library, almost all the linking books, and Atris suspects one of his sons, specifically Achenar, of doing this. But he also doesn't want to jump to conclusions.
Okay, so now we have this thing where the first two people you can actually engage with, first of all, stuck in books. Really weird, but so many other weird things have happened. You're kind of writing that off at that point.
Right.
And you're isolated and you're lonely, and the only two social connections you have are Cirrus and Achenar, who are making demands of you. Rude. Very rude. And then suddenly, if you follow this note that's meant for Catherine, also a little rude to kind of just read her mail. It's kind of a federal offense, guys, but whatever. And then you hear, and essentially this father is saying, somebody messed up this stuff, and I'm going to accuse my own legacy flesh and blood because that's how much I don't trust the son. What kind of bad parenting did they do to cause their son to be such a jerk like that?
We can get there.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm spewing the questions out as they're coming to my head. That's all I'm doing.
I don't think they themselves did anything, quote, wrong.
They just had a couple of, well, maybe just so far just one bad apple, as far as we know.
We can get into it, and there's a lot of stuff that will change as the series goes on. Because things kind of get added on, and you learn more details as the series continues.
Okay.
He says that he moved the last 4 books that he has, the descriptive books he has, to the places of protection on the island. This is kind of the whole puzzle of the island, is getting to these books. So
now the island is this vault of these books, which we're going to find out as we play the game are ages, I assume?
Yes. And there's...
So he's protecting multiple universes from whoever's messing up these universes.
Yes.
And one of the people he suspects is his own son.
Yes.
Okay. This is a quantum level Jerry Springer going on right now.
Not included in the message. This is kind of all stuff that's kind of afterwards that you find out through successive games, but I'll explain it now because it makes sense to explain it now. He was kind of tricked by his sons. He's kind of stuck in a separate age. It's actually kind of part of like the Dunny home area. He's stuck on an island in Dunny.
He's stuck on an island in Dunny.
And they tore a single page from his linking book to Myst, so he can't get home. He's stuck there.
So you would need to go back to this island in Dunny with his page.
Which is kind of at the end of the game is what you actually do.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's kind of like the end of the game. You have a choice between, like, 3 things. The good ending is you take the page to Atris.
Okay.
We're going to consider the good endings canonical. The bad endings I'm not going to talk about because they're bad endings.
Yeah, most of the time that's what people want to have as their canon ending anyway.
Catherine is stuck in Riven. which is her home age. She is not human. She is a race called Rivenese.
Rivenese.
We'll get to them in the future.
Okay.
And
that's the name of one of the sequels, right? Riven?
Riven is the second game.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll probably do other games before we get to Riven, but yeah, that's the second game in the series.
Okay.
We'll get to probably one of the novels too before then.
Okay, I'm fine with this. I hope you all listening are fine with this too, because I'm now finding myself a little captivated with what's going on.
So Catherine is stuck on Riven. You and the player and the stranger and everything do not know what is keeping her there. We'll get to that. There's a reason that she's stuck.
Okay.
But he doesn't know that she's stuck there when he writes his note, and he thinks that she's going to be back and will find this note and be able to help him. But she's already been trapped. She was trapped before he was trapped.
And he's already saying he suspects his sons have done something. So you as the player, realizing that, probably suspect Akinar specifically.
He's kind of the crazy one.
Thinking of that.
He kind of comes across as the crazy one. He's kind of like really like messed up hair, kind of like twitchy and kind of like really close to the camera when he's talking to you and stuff.
So, and I get that, but here's the thing about literally crazy people, because having worked the jobs that I have, I've actually had to work with literally crazy people. Putting off a plan that involves manipulating universes to this extent, you need to be level-headed. So it's less about being crazy and more about being a cold-hearted person to do some of the stuff. Especially, so as much as Akinar's crazy, and I'm sure the whole idea is that we're supposed to suspect Akinar because he's the wild card. I, just knowing how I am, I would already be like, wait a second though, if he's like nuts, somebody else is doing this.
Cirrus definitely comes across as the suave, smooth,
charming I already don't trust. See, I'm into true crime, and like anytime somebody gives me those Ted Bundy vibes, I'm done. I'm just done.
So through the rest of Myst Island, after you find out like that there's books and all this stuff, you have to unlock the books, and there's 5 of them.
Okay.
We'll get to the 5th one. It's kind of a weird one, but the 4 that were in the original game.
There's a lot of stuff we're getting to, by the way. There's all these dangling threads.
There is.
Okay. These hanging chads, so to speak.
I want to get to a lot of the stuff I will get to in the next episode as we discuss the ages.
Okay.
Some stuff we'll just have to wait for later.
Okay, so because I'm voting for all these, I want you to unplug all these hanging chads as we go on, so my vote is counted.
But so the books are in the gears, like you roll the gears back and there's a book in there.
Okay.
They're in the sunken ship. You press some buttons and the ship raises up and there's a book in there.
Okay.
That's what the fountain actually. Oh, sorry. I missed that point. The fountain has like a little model of the sunken ship in it. That's kind of like when that raises, the actual ship raises.
What kind of? That's not how worlds work. That's not how any of the. I can't unsink the Titanic by raising a model of the Titanic in Buckingham Fountain. That's not how any of this works, guys.
That big ass redwood tree.
Yeah.
The book is under the tree.
Okay. Yeah.
And, of course, the giant spaceship also has a book in it.
Why wouldn't the giant spaceship? First of all, it should be a data pad, just saying. But second of all, of course it has a book in it. It's too cool to not have something useful to any of the puzzles in it.
So I'd like to get to all of those individually next episode and explain their own histories and then the overarching story of Myst.
Okay.
As the first game in and of itself.
Okay.
All
right. I guess I'm just hanging on here with these hanging chads dangling mercilessly and add Florida into 2000 election. I do not know what my fate is until another day.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Now I'm hooked. Okay. You got me. I care about Myst now. Are you happy? Did this work the way you wanted it to?
Done.
Next week, my husband proceeds to take me out of this horrible limbo he put me in and tells me about these 5 freaking ages. You are such a tease.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll like it too, though.
If you want things to be less of a tease, go to patreon.com/loretogether, and patrons do get access to the episode early because we want you to feast on our lore. And if you just want to follow us on social media, we are on Twitter @LoreTogether. And don't forget, you can also email us at loretogether mystic@gmail.com. Otherwise, I guess that's it, Mystic.
I guess that's it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Tune in next time. Bye-bye.